Alright, for the last 40 years, and today I have my special guest helping people find clarity about their next step in life. He's a coach, speaker, and of course, the author of the book Stop Living Life on the Table. None other than Mr. John Salzwedel.
Hello.
Welcome back, Mr. John, to one of my podcasts. So, can you please introduce more about yourself that I miss?
Sure. Thank you for having me. It's great to be here today. My name's John Salzwedel, and I'm the author of Stop Leaving Life on the Table. This is a book that came out of my own learning on how to get back in alignment with those things that are important to me. I was in a place in my life where things were not lined up exactly, and I could feel it, even if it didn't look like it from the outside. It didn't feel right on the inside. And so I did a lot of studying, a lot of learning, reading, listening, anything I could find to teach myself. And and now I'm in an entirely different industry doing an entirely different thing. For some people, the changes aren't going to be that big, but for me, it was a big change from the industry I was in to the one that I'm in now.
A big change indeed, and thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world. Thank you. And today, let's continue talking about your book. So, Mr. John, you spent nearly 3 decades in the insurance industry. That's a
Yes.
long time to build a career, a reputation, a pension. And what point did you look up and realize you were living life on the table?
That would be about 7 years ago or so. I was sitting at my desk, the same desk I'd sat at for many, many years. The people I worked with are fantastic people, and it's good, solid company. And I just realized while I was sitting at my desk that things weren't aligned. I wasn't fired up to do what I wanted to, what I was doing anymore. I could still do it. I was still effective at it, but it wasn't exciting for me. It wasn't something that really pulled me to get moving in the morning, getting myself out of bed. It was just a little bit of work to do that. And at that point, then I figured something had to change because I'm a big fan of being all in. When I'm doing something, I want to be all the way there and giving 100% all the time. And doing that was being a whole lot of work for me. And sometimes I'm not sure that I was given that full 100%, even though I wanted to. So it was time to make a change to make sure that I could do that.
Very well said, Mr. John. Was there a specific moment, a conversation, a health scare, a quiet Tuesday, where the question you're asking yourself shifted from "How do I succeed here?" to what actually matters to me?
Boy, it was a day sitting at my desk, and while I was in that kind of what am I doing here? Can I fix this? Can I stay where I am, doing what I'm doing? And interestingly enough, an ad for the John Maxwell team came across my computer, and I don't even know why. I'd not visited his website. I'd not even looked at his books at that point, but an ad popped up about joining the John Maxwell team and going through the education there. And that's really what got things going. It was my hope at that point that I could use the information that I was learning there to just make adjustments, stay at the company I was at, make adjustments to the job that I was doing, and get it better in line with how I wanted to use my skills and my gifts. And so I tried that, and I did that for a while, and it worked to a certain extent. But eventually, um, it stopped working, and it was at that time that I knew, okay, I need to make a full change now, and and make some adjustments. And that was time. It was a hard time. It was a scary time. Going from a successful career to all of a sudden stepping into a situation with where I had nobody working for me and I had no income, and it was a big change. A lot of things I have to do different now than what I did before.
A big change indeed. When you told your colleagues or family you were leaving as a table a 30-year career to become a coach and author, what is the most common reaction and how did you handle the doubters?
The boy, the most common reaction is probably, "Really? After this much time, you're gonna change that? Aren't you close to retirement?" Um, my wife was a big supporter. She was for her, it was more important that I be doing something that I felt called to be doing, that was important to me. The the hardest thing to deal with for people around me has been and still is that with having spent so much time in that position, everybody still thinks of me as the CEO of the insurance company. It's very difficult to get people to start seeing me as a coach, as a speaker, and as an author. They have to change their entire mindset on that. So that's been the hardest part of it, but the way through it is you just keep plugging away, step by step. You keep doing things, you keep letting them know, "No, I don't do that anymore. This is what I do now, and, hey, by the way, you should read my book," and you just keep talking about it and building it up, and that's the way through it. But for the most part, everyone was very supportive even if they didn't understand what I was doing.
Mhm. Certainly. Definitely. Yes. So, Mr. John, you help people reduce mental noise. In those final years at your insurance job, what was the loudest noise you own had and how did you finally turn it down?
Oh, that's a great question.
Mm-hmm.
The loudest noise was had to be financial or the security noise. Everything everything outside of me was shouting, "Don't do this. You're in a good job. You're making a good living. You have a good company. You work with people you love. Everything is in place." And it was all true. It was so it was very very hard to move beyond that because it was true, but it was really really loud. And what it came down to is um, getting really in touch with who I am, what I believe, what I felt I was called to be doing. And it wasn't until the the frustration of not doing that became stronger or louder than the you've got a good situations, don't mess with it. Until it became louder than that, it didn't change, and I didn't make the move. But eventually, the frustration got so strong that I had to make a change.
Well said, Mr. John. Well said indeed. Your book is called Stop Living Life on the Table. For someone listening who feels vaguely unsettled but can't name why they're successful but tired, how do they even begin to diagnose what they are leaving behind?
The most important thing to living in alignment to not leaving life on the table is figuring out what that looks like. And the first step in that is figuring out what do I believe? What is that most important thing to me? Who are the most important people to me and why? And once you have a good solid knowledge of what you stand for, and that can be all kinds of different things across the board, whether it's work related, religion related, people related, politics related, whatever you stand for, you need to have a good handle on that. And then you have to look at the people around you, your responsibilities to them, and why you feel the way that you do about those responsibilities. Once you have nailed those down, you're going to get a pretty decent feel for what's in alignment and what's not in alignment. And is it perfect? No, you're always going to have things. I'm still discovering things, even well, a full year into to this career. But I know that I will always be finding new things because one of the keys to it all is to take small steps because you are constantly changing. But the first step, turn off your telephone, turn off your computer, turn off your television, and just sit and think for a little bit about what is most important to you. Take a piece of paper and just start writing down things that are important to you, and then go and look at everything you wrote down. Say, what's most important? What's second most important? And tell yourself why. And spend that time to really get a good, strong understanding of who you are, what you stand for, what you believe.
You talk about designing your path versus just letting life happen. For the overachievers in the audience who have always followed the ladder, the path, the plan, what is the first step in realizing they might be on the wrong ladder?
I think the first clue you're going to have to that is a frustration, or perhaps a lack of energy that you might feel. If that is coming up, and it could be in any area of your life, it doesn't have to be in career. If that is happening to you, then something isn't lined up right. Because when you have everything lined up together, when you are acting based on who you are and what's important to you, you have that energy, you have that fire. Maybe you have that all figured out, but you haven't designed a path for going forward from where you are. And that's the next step after you understand who you are and what you stand for. Then you have to give yourself the opportunity to dream, to look forward and without any restrictions know about or think about, this is what I want to do. This is what my life, my perfect life would look like in 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, whatever time frame you want to use. And don't let your current situation determine what you're dreaming about. Just dream like you did when you were a kid. I want to be a doctor or a fireman or an astronaut or whatever it may be. Let yourself just dream that. And whether it's career or what you want to do in your retirement or your vacation time. And then you look back at that and then you do compare it with, where am I? And you build just the very first step going in the direction from where you are in that to the next, to where you want to get to. And you just do the first step. And the reason we do it into smaller steps, and you can add as many steps in as you're confident with, but you're only going to hit the next step, because the second step may be different after you complete the first step, because you will change as you do that. So you have that general line that you're following to get you to where you want to go. But each step is going to refine the next step a little bit more, so that each step is a little bit more in line with who you are and where you're trying to go.
Very well said, Mr. John. You talk about helping people reconnect with what matters most. For someone who would just spent 20 focus on promotions, mortgages, and kids' schedules, what if they lost touch with the matters most? How do they find it again?
Finding it again is taking the noise away, listening to yourself. Um, Similar to what we've talked about before, what's interesting is most people don't lose track of that alignment in a big event. There's not some huge thing that happens. It just happens as time goes on, because every minute, every day, we change. We're different than we were a few minutes ago, and we slowly drift out of that line that we had been following. And sometimes the line still keeps going in the right direction, and we stay right on it. But other times we just lose track because we have 1,000 things we have to do all the time, and we focus on getting those things done, whether those are the right things or not. So finding the right path is quieting down, turning off the distractions, and really getting in touch with what's important to you.
Yes. Definitely, what is important to you is the most thing to do. You've said that clarity is not about having all the answer. It's about knowing the next right question. What is the question you wish more people would ask themselves at least once a month?
At least once a month, I think we should look at the main things that we're doing and say, does this line up with who I am, with what I believe, and with where I want to go? We want to do a full blown study on it, I think, at least once a year, where you really turn everything off and sit down and spend a half a day or a full day or even longer if you need to, and really get in touch with all of that. But monthly, just look at what you're doing. Does this make sense? Is this right? Am I doing the right things? I've had times in my life where I finish something up and I look at it and I say, "Why on earth did I did that? Do that? That's not me. That's not how I act. That's not how I behave." Um, and that's really frustrating. So the more we are keeping track of the things that we're doing and examining them in light of what we believe, the better and the more likely we are to stay on track.
Certainly, stay on track. You came to coaching later in life than many. What is the something you can offer clients now that you simply could not have offered at 30, no matter how much training you had?
I think the biggest thing for me that changed between 30 and almost 60 is I think my ears work better now than they did back then. When I was in my 20s and early 30s, I thought I knew everything. I couldn't listen well, and um, I would constantly try to solve problems before really understanding them. And one of the things that I learned over time, and I'm still working on to a certain extent, is to listen better, to realize that other people have good ideas. And one of the key things that I learned is that I may have answers, but they may not be the right answers for other people. And most of the time, people have a good idea of how to do what they want to do, how to get where they want to go to. They need help getting that out of their heads so they can follow that path, or need help identifying what those items are. And I don't think I had the skills to do that. I just didn't I didn't listen well enough back then. But I'm able to offer that now because that's what I do now.
Certainly. You spent 30 years in a corporate environment. What did the insurance industry teach you about human nature, about fear, about comfort zones, about why people stay stuck, and now informs your coaching?
Well, there's a lot in that question. Um, One of the things that I think gets in our way more than we like to think is outward success. When we have those things that we're told we're supposed to want, and that's different for everybody, but social media will tell us that we want money, we want a nice watch, we want to go to fancy restaurants so we can take pictures of good food that we can post, and we take these amazing vacations and nothing bad ever happens to us. Well, that's what it looks like in social media, and we all know that isn't true. We all have bad things that happen to us, and we but the things that show up as successful, we have to define what that is to us. And the when we have all the success of everybody that we're all told we should have, it's scary to step away from that. We're comfortable, we're making a good living, um, we have all of the trappings that we're supposed to say, this is good, this is what we want. And so we don't want to change that. We don't want to mess it up because we may lose everything that we have, even the things that truly are important to us. So we stay in that misaligned place because we're safe there. We're comfortable there. Um, it can be absolutely frightening to step out, but That's one of the keys. You step out towards those things that truly are successful, your definition of success, not the one you're being told. Um, so again, it comes down, I guess, to the noise all around you and convincing you that you're in a fine spot. Don't mess with it. Don't take a risk because you've got it pretty good. And I think that's the biggest thing that tends to get in our way.
Certainly, Mr. John. And you talk about building a life that truly fits. After 30 years on a career, on one career, did you have to discover who you were or who you were without the title?
Yeah. It very interesting going um, from being CEO to not. That was a hard transition. The nice thing about being CEO is when you had a personality like mine is if I had an idea, then I had a team that could take my idea and run with it. Well, I can have all kinds of ideas now, and if I don't get off my butt and do them, they're not going to happen. I don't have a team.
Mhm.
And so it was tough getting beyond that and getting used to just being me and having not really having a title and certainly not having one that anybody cares about as far as what they need to do in response to it. So yeah, that was tough getting used to.
Beautifully articulated, Mr. John. You help people move from clarity to action. What is the most common reason your clients get clarity in a session, but then fail to act on the real world?
I think the biggest thing that gets in people's way when they finally figure out this is where I want to go, this is what I want to do, is they make too big of a first step. Um, I always suggest to break the steps down as far as possible. And Henry Ford said it very nicely. No task is particularly difficult if you break it into small enough steps. So if you set a goal to make, I don't know, pick a number. Your first year, I want to make $1 million. Well, okay, maybe you can do that. But if the most you've ever made in a year was $25,000, that's a big step. Um, how are you going to do it? What are the things you're going to do today and tomorrow? Because you can't make one decision that's going to get you that $1 million. You have to figure out what's the things that's going to build it and get you to that part. So I think people take too big of a bite on their very first step instead of just saying, first thing I got to do is learn how to do this. The what that does for you, it teaches you something. It gives you a feeling of success because you're doing a small thing and you know you can accomplish that. When you get done with that, you say, "Hey, I did that. I'm doing this. I'm making the effort. I'm going the right direction." Whereas if you're taking a great big huge step, it takes a long time wh- before you can say, "Hey, look, I did it. I can do something." The other part it does when you're doing small steps, it helps you to refine what your next step is to keep you going towards the goal that you want, instead of going after one big thing that maybe isn't right and you wouldn't know it if you didn't do the small steps.
So, Mr. John, before we wrap up our discussion for today, I'm inviting you to please do listen to my other podcast, people, because my abstract essay is already in sixth season, abstract poetry in third season, and of course my book 101 review in sixth season too, comedy 101 in fourth season, and my food 101 in sixth season as well, geography 101 love letters, movie 101 review, and music 101 our fifth season, science 101, sex 101 fourth season, Trivia 101, Motivation 101, Spiritual Awakening 101, Entrepreneurship 101, Law 101, Mental Health 101, Coaching 101, of course, my Bible verses 101 are my baby podcast. Please listen to them wherever you listen your podcast. So, Mr. John, you've designed your path. You're living intentionally. What does success look like for John Salzwedel now, not in terms of book sales or clients, But in terms, how do you feel on Sunday evening looking ahead to Monday?
On Sunday evenings, looking ahead towards Monday and looking ahead towards the full week ahead, I am feeling excitement, a challenge, the hope that I can reach out and help people and see that face to face. Sometimes it's a behind the scene thing, but sometimes I'm going to be able to see that right in front of my face. And so that's where I am now in living successfully. Is I'm feeling that challenge and feeling the success of helping people.
Very well said, Mr. John, and congratulations for that. And can you please invite our listeners to support Stop Living Life on the Table?
Yeah, that would I would love it if you. It's available on Amazon. You can find it there, but I have a special page on my website for anybody that's listened to this podcast, and that's www.thecoach.vip/podcast. You can go visit. That'll tell you a bit about more about what I do, different things that I have available. I have a weekly note that I send out to people with positive thoughts. Um, I don't sell that list to anybody, and it's free. And it goes out to everybody every Thursday, just with something positive to think about to take you through the day. Because we all get enough bad news every day. It's nice to get something good.
Certainly, people support Mr. John because if you support him for sure more and more, Stop Living Life on the Table will rise. So I have one more question, Mr. John. You speak to audiences about this work. When you look out at a room full of professionals, what do you see in their eyes that tells that you're ready to stop living life on the table?
I think when when I see in their eyes, what I hope I'm addressing is when I first see them, I will often see confusion, hopelessness, uh, lack of belief in themselves, and I know that my speaking has been successful or my message has been successful when I see that hope in their eyes. The being hopeless is a horrible, horrible feeling, and no one should have to feel that. And when I'm done, success looks like everybody saying, "I matter. What I have to say matters. What I'm doing matters, and I can do this." So when I see that in their eyes, then I know that it's gone well.
I can do this. Well said, Mr. John, and thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Appreciate you having me here.
Likewise, Mr. John, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world. And more to come, people. See you soon. So, Mr.